if you follow this series so far, you know we haven't been talking about blame. We've been talking about patterns, not labeling people, examining systems. And today, we're going to talk about something many people live with, but rarely have language for. What it costs to exist inside a body that's perceived as high risk. Here's the question that frames everything. If you're the person in that body and you know, consciously or not, that you're perceived as dangerous, how do you survive that? You can't walk around oblivious. You can't exhume the benefit of the doubt. You can't just be tired, frustrated, or off guard. You have to calibrate. Calibration is not paranoia. It's pattern recognition. When the world consistently teaches you that your mistakes will be read more harshly, your tone more closely monitored, your emotions more quickly labeled as aggression, your nervous systems adapt, not to dominate, to survive. And this isn't code switching. This isn't about fitting in. This isn't about being liked. Code switching is social. Calibration is survival. One is about comfort. The other is about safety. And the difference between the two is the difference between choice and necessity. That adaptation has a name: the cost of calibration. And it's cognitively expensive. Think of the brain like a computer with limited processing power. Every decision uses memory. Every interaction uses energy. Now, imagine a high-intensity program running in the background at all times, monitoring your tone, your hands, your posture, not to mention the expressions of everyone around you. That program doesn't shut off, it doesn't pause, and it doesn't come with extra capacity. So before you even start your job, before you speak, before you create, you're already operating with less available energy than the person's next to you. That's what makes calibration expensive. It shows up in behaviors most people never notice. Watching your tone of voice, moving more slowly, keeping your hands visible, smiling when you don't feel like smiling, de-escalating situations that haven't even started yet. Some people call this preemptive surrender. You are constantly signaling, I'm not a threat, I'm safe, I'm manageable. Not because you're guilty, but because you're aware. Think about what that requires. Some people have the luxury of neutrality. They can be tired and just be tired, quiet and just be quiet, angry and just be human. Others don't get that luxury. A tired, grumpy, dark-skinned person is often read as dangerous. Security, a tired, grumpy, light-skinned person is just having a bad day. So some people learn to carry armor, not visible armor, psychological armor. And it's heavy. That armor restricts movement, restricts spontaneity. It restricts rest. And over time, it restricts how fully you can exist, not because you lack confidence, but because the cost of misinterpretation is too high. This is where behavior gets misunderstood. People see guardedness as, and call it coldness. They see cautious and call it disengagement. They see restraint and call it lack of leadership presence, without realizing they're witnessing someone expertly navigating a high-risk environment. If you don't understand calibration, you'll think you're diagnosing performance when you're actually criticizing a survival strategy. And here's the part that's hardest to hear. This calibration isn't chosen. It's trained by schools, by stories, by workplaces, by media, by the judicial system, by every moment where perception has consequences. Meanwhile, others move through the same space with fewer friction points, less monitoring, less anticipation, a quieter experience of safety, not because they're better people, but because their bodies were never coded as threatening or threats. And this is where the insight matters. Systems don't need intention to create outcomes. They only need consistency. No villain required, just repetition. So when we talk about behavior, about guardedness, emotional control, brilliance, we're not looking at character flaws. We're looking at survival strategies that work well enough to be learned and passed forward. Before we talk about repair, before we talk about healing, before we talk about doing better, we have to name the cost, because people don't heal from what they're told to ignore. They heal from what is finally understood. Now, please hear me out. This isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. And clarity is where healing begins. So here's the question I want to leave with you. Who around you might be wearing armor that you've mistaken for their personality? And what would change if you stop asking what's wrong with them and start asking what environment taught them this was necessary?